Hello, people of the internet, it's Amanda, and just a little bit of like a change in terms of atmosphere in today's video. And at the same time, I'm also harboring a little bit of like allergies plus post-cry from Origairu's last season's last episode, so there's also that. What we're going to be talking about in today's video, but rather we're going to be discussing episode 6 of Watadou. Now, I've pitched in some of my theories in my last video regarding this drama, and obviously, like, as someone who again hasn't read the manga, so it's kind of like interesting as to where we're headed for this particular story. I was really looking forward as to how episode 6 was gonna go, because from that preview, so it was shown that so many things are happening. So now already admitted that she's Sakura, and then there's this entire fire happening. So I was pretty curious as to what would lead to these series of events, and so we finally found it out in episode 6. Now again, if you haven't seen the episode yet, so I will be discussing some spoilers, all that, so there's just gonna be that, so let's just go ahead and do it. Now, the episode starts with a whole like tea ceremony that they're preparing for, and obviously like preparations are happening and stuff like that. And then we jump right off from the events of episode 5, where the Grandmaster has already prepared a will saying that Tsubaki is the one who's going to inherit Kougetsu An unless a proper heir comes along. And so the matron hears about this, and she was sort of like actively seeking out the will during the busyness of the entire event. However, Master was on to her, so they sort of like had this entire confrontation. Now again, there's this thing about, well, it's not exactly surprising in a way that they're gonna play the whole scorned woman card for this entire narrative, because obviously since the beginning, I mean, that's how it's always been presented to us. Like, there's something about the matron that's really off. And so eventually it was revealed that because the master, which is quote unquote Tsubaki's father and Nao's mother, is the one they're actually in love, and that Nao is actually the proper heir to Kougetsu An and all these entire thing. So with that, so the matron obviously, like, she says that, you know, when she was betrothed and then eventually married to the master, you know, she was a young woman, fresh with like life and love and everything like that. But, you know, just imagine living through the idea that this person that you committed your life to is not in love with you, and you also have to suffer through the entire idea of him hiring the woman that he actually loves, and they have this shared love for this specific craft that, you know, is basically the livelihood of the entire family that he belongs in. So that kind of connection was something that she grew very bitter about, and the reason why the Grandmaster is also very particular about Tsubaki not being his true heir is apparently he caught the matron back when she was younger, as to like she's also having an affair with someone else who quote unquote looks a lot like Tsubaki. But then they didn't show the actor's face, because obviously it would be hard to look for someone who actually looks like the perfection that is Yokohama Ryusei. But you know, that entire thing. So it's not exactly a surprising plot twist, considering that that's already like the entire theme of how the matron has been presented ever since in the beginning. But what's interesting about this entire thing is I don't think we really had clarity still, even with the confrontation between Nao and the matron and her admitting that she's actually Sakura, as to who exactly still killed the master. I don't think that has been answered yet, even if Nao herself claims that during the night or the day that she witnessed Tsubaki standing over his dead father's body, she also saw the matron there. And based from like the choppiness of the memories of either Tsubaki and Nao, it seems like the matron was there, but she was also trying to convince Tsubaki that to point fingers at Nao's mother. So I mean, we never really got a clear-cut answer as to who did the crime, basically. So they sort of like is trying to pin it on her, but I'm still not 100% convinced that it was her. Like, I think she was just trying to condition Tsubaki to say that, or she conditioned Tsubaki to say that because of what happened and because she found it as an opportunity to already throw out Nao's mother because of what happened. So there. The thing about this is that this whole reveal with the whole like pregnancy I mean, Tsubaki didn't know that Nao is pregnant with his kid, but there's this sort of like weird confrontation between the two of them of, you know, I mean, I'm not sure why Tsubaki even overreacted, and it was so funny when he was talking about, you know, you admitted that in front of like the truth scroll or anything. It was really, really funny when that happened, because obviously like you already had your inkling what's this about. I mean, I get the feeling that he felt betrayed and everything like that, but I don't know, it was just very funny to me. And the thing with that is he never really found out that Nao was pregnant with their child. But what's interesting to me is that with the entire fire happening, so the confrontation, fire, candles, I don't understand why they have candles in the first place, because obviously the house has artificial lighting. But anyways, I think they have to find a way to like wreck this entire thing. But honestly, don't get what happened or what caused Nao's miscarriage as well. So there's also that. Like, I feel like, again, and I've talked about this in my previous video, they usually do this. I sort of like half expected that they would use pregnancy and the miscarriage as a plot device. But I don't know, I was just really hoping that they wouldn't do so for this particular drama, but then they did, so there's also that. And then we sort of like just move into this entire thing of, you know, now believing that Tsubaki saved the wagashi, how do I even call it, relics over her, and from there, like she started to have this deep-seated anger over you know, how she actually feels for him. And then Tsubaki's also there, you know, having all these conflicting thoughts or feelings as to whether or not, you know, he really loves her, or it was just hating her, that's why he's seeking her out, or anything like that. So time basically passed after that. Initially it was 3 months, and then it was sort of like seen that Shiori, so the girl that Tsubaki was supposed to marry, he saved him for some reason during the fire as well, but she started to, you know, stand up to her dad, and she decides to like leave their house and work for Kougetsu An just to be close to Tsubaki, I guess. And then apparently 3 years passed after that, and then Tsubaki is never seen now ever since. And then in the end, it was revealed that Nao is actually like, Nao has her own wagashi shop now, and she just hates Tsubaki to her core. So that's basically how the episode wrapped up. Now the thing with this is I noticed a couple of details. So obviously they're trying to juxtapose Shiori and now more glaringly this time around, because one, they kept on pressing how Shiori likes red, whereas Nao is traumatized by the color red. There's also this idea of like how Nao has used leaves in terms of creating her wagashi to make a point as to how, you know, sometimes we don't look at leaves because, you know, the flower is the one that really blooms a lot more. But then for Nao, like, she appreciates that kind of subtlety, whereas Shiori, it was shown in the flashback that the first time that she saw Tsubaki was when she was selling sort of like her ceramic cups thing, and he asks her why her camellias, or in the play itself of the words, it's Tsubaki's camellia in English. So he asked her why doesn't her camellias have leaves? And she said that, she likes the flowers more. So they kept on juxtaposing their characters towards each other, because it's very clear that she obviously is still in love with Tsubaki, and the matron is using that as an opportunity to sort of like peg her again, to shape her again into becoming, someone like her, who is, the proper matron for Kougetsu An. And there's just this entire thing of just things happening consecutively with one another, and how things are and stuff like that. And I have to say, as exciting as this episode is, and with everything else that's happening, so it was revealed after reveal after reveal, and confrontation after confrontation, it's just kind of funny how there's still a lot of questions happening, and we are only 2 episodes away from how they're gonna wrap this up. Now, I've heard a couple of like spoilers-ish from people who have read the manga, and apparently, like, I think they're going to wrap this up during the first arc of that. I'm not particularly sure what that means, but it's just kind of interesting that they tried to sort of like show us a lot of confrontations for this particular episode, but nothing really still got resolved in the end, I guess. So I'm quite curious as to how they're going to wrap things up without it looking or feeling very abrupt and just half-assed or something like that. But I don't know, like, so far, I think by itself, if you don't overanalyze it, it is a decent episode. It's an exciting episode. Like, we got to see a lot of like very conflicting emotions between the characters and everything like that. Some of the narratives were re-explored and something, but it's not something that we haven't really expected prior to seeing like the earlier episodes. And at the same time, like, this episode didn't really resolve anything, I guess, or hasn't even like tied up one question that we've had ever since the beginning. So I'm pretty curious as to how the next episodes are gonna be like, because obviously, again, 2 more episodes left. Like episode 8, they said that it's gonna be a 2-hour special, but again, like, that can be pretty tricky, considering that there are still a lot of loose ends that they're trying to tie all together. But yeah, so overall, surface level, it was an okay episode. Just diving deep into it, looking into it in a more like contextual level in terms of the narrative, I feel like it's definitely a bit choppy this time around. So, but I mean, overall, it's fine. It's okay, I guess. So with that said, so tell me down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this particular episode? I've already seen some people, sharing their thoughts about how they also found a lot of like plot holes in this particular episode, which I agree on. So let's talk it out down there. And then if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye.